Inspirational. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we talk US Moto and anywhere the conversation goes. And it's my pleasure today to talk to Doug Henry. How are you, dude?
I'm doing well, thank you. As I said earlier, I apologize. I wanted to connect with you sooner, but my bad, and I'm glad we finally got to connect.
No worries. Yeah, like as I said to you, it's no problem, man. It's my pleasure. I'm always glad to when champions share a bit of time with me. So,
All right.
dude, I know lately you've been over to England. I can't remember which track it was at, but yeah, you were riding a vets race on a Stark. So yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it was something that kind of just sort of unfolded just real quick, and I I I kind of struggled with riding dirt bikes as a kid. Riding in my neighborhood, riding in sand pits and stuff. The noise was always an issue, and I have a track at my house here, and still I'm respectful of the neighbors, but there's times when I wish I could go ride and I don't. Um, so like the noise was kind of always a thing, and then plus now with my disability and how adaptable a Stark is just kind of out of the box. I always had interest in doing something with an electric bike down the road. And when Stark, it came out with that, I just had asked them, hey, like it'd be cool to ride one of these things one time. And I said, I'm in with Monster and Yamaha right now, and there's, I do have, opening in my contract down the road. And we ended up hooking up, and they asked me to go do a race in England at Farleigh Castle, and I've never raced there, but I went there to spectate, sort of represent Team USA, just in the pits, and I got to see the track, and I just kind of felt like it was a really cool layout. Like I just liked the off cambers, the hills, the dirt, the it just looked like a just kind of a fun track to really get around and flow with, just being able to sit down and stuff. And we got the bike and just rode it around the field, and it was the coolest experience. Just being able to go as fast as you could, so easily. There wasn't clutching, wasn't shifting. Just get on the gas and go. And tried some different seat options. We tried working with an airbag to get the seat to be able to swivel and have a little bit of suspension, a little bit of plushness to it. And the airbag thing, I kind of had to throw that out the door because it would have just taken so much more work to do. And whatever I was going to do to the bike in England, I had to kind of carry over there. So we just sort of kind of built up a small setup just for something for me to try and go race over there, and ended up just putting foam underneath one of my carbon designs, and it worked okay. Definitely wasn't like a seat shock like I have now on my Yamaha, but it was enough to kind of get out there and do some riding and not get beat up too bad. But my goal for this year is to over the winter is to build a seat shock setup for that bike, so that I can ride that a bit more now. Like right now, I don't really ride it too much because it is, on the rough tracks, it does beat me up without a seat shock. Yeah, that one really good. Been kind of playing around and with the Stark and having fun with that. Doing some fundraising at home. I help out with a couple of organizations. Road Recovery is one of them, and we have a New England Legends fund that we do to kind of help raise funds for some of the guys in New England that are injured. And riding when I can, try to get on the mountain bike, a little bit on the bicycle, and I just try to enjoy life and maybe try to help others do the same.
Awesome. Yeah. I never thought about how the Stark might help for adaptive riding until I saw your video, and then I started thinking, and I was like, yeah, you're not shifting. You can have the rear brake on the bars. Like there's quite a few things, isn't there, that does make it easier, which is it's a great thing, man. Yeah, yeah, really interesting. So
Yeah.
and yeah. The
Yeah, for sure.
the noise thing you were saying about so you grew up obviously in like New England area. I know that you're close to Southwick, you know, everyone knows that, but so what did you grow up like, you were sort of in a town sort of thing, or you know, why was the noise such a thing?
It was my dad had 9 acres, which is a pretty good sized
Oh
piece
yeah.
of land, and
Yeah.
we bordered like a sawmill, logging. And that went to power lines, railroad tracks, and sand pits, and so kind of like that's kind of how it started when there was a couple of older guys in the neighborhood that we lived. Most everybody had an acre and a half or so, but there was some people
Yeah.
that had bigger chunks and stuff. But the kids rode around the neighborhood, and a couple of older kids knew how to get from the logging trails to the power lines to the sand pits, and
Yeah.
to cut through my dad's property was a pretty easy access to the logging trail. So they asked for for permission to come through the property, and my dad gave them permission. So seeing them go off riding while I was home working was pretty cool. Just they had all the riding gear on, going to the sand pit, and as I got older, I got to go with them and ride at the sand pits, and pretty much just kind of started with riding around the house a little bit and seeing these guys go through the logging trail to the sand pits. And you get to the sand pits, and then you find racers. There's racers with actually riders with numbers on their plates that mean something. So it's kind of cool
Yeah.
to learn about the beginner, amateur, and expert classes at the sand pits. And it's just it was something I just really really love to do. And the two-wheel thing is it's something that if you kind of get it in your system, it's like you're always just trying to perfect it from beginning to end. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just the sand pits, and got into the guys that race in, find out where they race, go check it out, and got into the racing, and went through the ranks, and yeah, but just pretty much just started just small town little neighborhood riding a mini
Mm.
bike, with the Briggs and Stratton little, with the brake pedal that would just hit the tire. That was kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
that was what we started on.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the ones they'd sell at like the just at the department stores and that sort of thing, you know. The
Yeah,
yeah.
like for us, we had a we had a catalog. And it was a Sears catalog, and you could just kind of circle what you wanted for Christmas, give the list to Santa Claus, and I always circled the mini bike, but I didn't get it for Christmas. I got it for my birthday, which was great.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. A few of the legends I've spoken to had that same sort of little bike. You know, the Sears mini bike, or I think there was a brand. Was there a brand called Taco? I think as well. There was a Taco mini bike or something like that. That was, yeah. There's a few of
Yeah,
those
maybe.
little few of
Yeah.
those little ones. Yeah, they were with the like the Briggs and Stratton engines and that sort of
Yes.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, rope start.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
had a Rupp. A Rupp. I think Rupp was like one of the ones that were kind of
yeah.
popular
I've heard
too.
of that. I've heard of the
Yeah.
Rupp. Yeah, yeah. Cool,
Yeah. It
cool.
had a wide rear tire, and then it had kind of a narrower front tire, and it had a ski that you could put on for the winter time.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
never
cool,
tried that,
man.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. Obviously, yeah, Aussies, we don't know much about snow. Like, I have ridden a dirt bike in snow one time, and it was only like a foot deep. So, and it was kind of, a bit of a novelty. But
Yep.
yeah, we don't know much about deep snow and having
Yeah.
like I've got a lot of US friends, and yeah, some of them, one of my friends, he's from like New England, and I've got a couple of friends in Canada, and yes, like they know all snowmobiles, all that. That's all winter. The
Yeah.
motorcycles get packed up or modified or whatever. So yeah, how did that basically become your training in the winter? Was like snow bikes and snowmobiles?
Snowmobiles, yep. No snow bikes back then, but we rode our dirt bikes in the snow, like you were saying.
Yeah,
Only it wasn't a novelty. That's what we had to do.
yeah,
But it was
yeah,
fun. You learn how to ride, and in any kind of condition, and just to get out there and ride and have some fun and do something in the snow. Or the sand pits. It seemed like if you get to a sand pit, they would tend to thaw out early, or some of them wouldn't freeze so much, so you could get out and do some of the riding in the snow. But
yeah.
yes, a little bit of snowmobiles, but mostly just riding the dirt bike in the snow.
Okay, yeah. How deep a snow could you still ride that dirt bike in?
Not much more than a foot.
Yeah,
Unless you're gonna put studs in there, and
yeah,
then you could, but sometimes we would ride the snowmobiles here and pack it down and then go out and ride on that, and it would work okay. Depending on the conditions, you got to get it when it was like nice and crusty.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
because
I
I
mean
guess you get down a certain distance and it's frozen. Yeah, once you get down a
yeah,
certain
yeah,
distance, yeah,
yep,
that's
yep,
why you need the
yeah,
spikes. What about the
yeah,
like the actual ice? Like a guy I follow, and I'm sure you know, and he'll come on the show at some stage. Pat Maroney, he gets out on the frozen lakes and with an ice bike. Have you ever done that sort of stuff?
yes, I have. I actually we had a couple of ponds around the area that it was kind of supermoto style. I do both
Yeah,
sides, and it was really fun. Like I did it probably, I don't know, a few years. I think, yeah, yeah, just a few years because I had gotten into my accident. I haven't done it since, but it would be fun to do.
mm,
But I ended up going out to Wisconsin, I think, and did a long. I don't know if it was a 24-hour race or some really long race that we did out there. 12 hour. I'm not even sure. Three of us,
yeah,
and that was pretty awesome. That was like a really, really, really long road course, and they were out there kind of sweeping it, as we were racing and everything. It was pretty cool.
yeah. It's that stuff's really amazing to an Aussie. Like it's we do
Yeah,
have
it's amazing.
we have a handful of snow resorts, and the mountain ranges get a little bit of snow in that, but but yeah, it's there's no cities that snow like
Yeah,
like half of America does. Yeah, so very
yeah,
interesting. Very interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy the grip that those things get on the ice. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Mm. Um, what was your so you've told us about your first mini bike. What was your first race, and what bike were you on then?
That was a 1984 YZ80, 85, at Southwick.
At
I
Southwick.
did
That was
like,
your very first. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. I just, we kind of just heard about a little bit of the racing from the sand pits. Went to the dealership, and they had a schedule up there, and went up and watched it at Southwick. And then a couple weeks later, signed up and went out there and did my best. Just raced the 85 novice class. I don't think
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
so good. I think I got hurt in one of them, and maybe a third or fourth, or something. I don't know. But it was it
yeah.
was it was fun.
After that, you were sort of pretty keen on just that was it. That this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I did that for a couple of races. I did Southwick just like twice that year, and then in 1985 I signed up on a 125 and did that for the whole year. I think I just raced the 125 novice class. I might have done. There's a juniors class too sometimes that I would do, uh, and raced novice class and broke my arm, I think, on the second race or first or second race, which was kind of a bummer, but came back and I ended up winning some of the novice races that year and turned amateur, I think, the following year, and raced the season out as an amateur, made it to expert, um, then just started racing expert in 1987, racing around Southwick and Middleborough, just kind of local tracks here, and every once in a while, like the national would come in for Southwick. So back then they had different qualifying, different ways to qualify. So if you were an expert in your region, you can try and qualify. But I don't know if I tried to do it in 1987. I think I was an amateur, maybe still when the national came around, and then the second half of '87, maybe. I don't quite remember, but somewhere around '87, '88 was my first national at Southwick, and then all you had to do was qualify, and if expert license qualified, and you could get in. So it was good. I mean, there's guys that probably have the info. I know AMA probably has all the stats or whatever,
Yeah,
but probably in the 20.
yeah, I did look. I looked up your stats. Yeah, your first pro points were Southwick 88. So yeah,
Okay, good.
There you go. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
try
yeah.
to remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, oh, you were close. You weren't sure if it was 87 or 88. So yeah, it was 88 was the first points there. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
so just we had a couple other races. We had Binghamton wasn't too far, Unadilla, so
yeah,
I would try to go and qualify for the nationals there, and just still race here. And eventually, I kind of wanted to go race the nationals. I felt like that was the next step. You know, you kind of win in your neighborhood, you win down the sand pit, you win at the races, you know, locally, then you start heading out that way. And just kind of lived out of the van and stayed at a campground in Florida. I'd go down there for a couple years, or a couple years. I'd go down there for a couple weeks of the winter, and just go down there and ride as much as I could. Um, and you know, kind of how the money, you know, how the money was lasting. But it was good once you made expert down there. You can kind of, you know, make a little bit of money at the races. So that was helpful for sure. But kind of just raced around as a privateer for a bit and got noticed by DGY Yamaha, 1991, and they were putting together a B team, a 125 East Coast team. I'm not sure if they were just going to do Supercross, but we ended up doing Supercross and outdoor, and had some good success with them. I ended up winning my first national in 1991 out at Hangtown, a big sloppy muddy race. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we only had to do one moto because you know, like to try to get the bike back together and again for another moto, you know, like that would have been a tough one for us, you know, as privateers and stuff. So at the time, it was great that they cut it back to the one moto. But yeah, I think I did okay in the Supercross. Probably got a couple podiums. And you know, 1992, I think I'd won a Supercross race, and I think I won at least a moto in '92. I don't know if I won any overalls outdoors in '92, but I did pretty well. I think I finished fourth for the season, and got noticed by Kawasaki and Honda, and kind of made some decisions to figure out which team I'd like to go with, and I ended up choosing Honda in '93 and had good success, you know, right off the bat with them. Got hooked up with a, you know, a mechanic who was just a super nice guy, super open. We sort of gelled pretty good. We both like to get our work done early and you know, finish out the day. But you know, we ended up winning 4 championships together between 1993 and 1998. But rode with Honda for '93 and won the Supercross title, the outdoor title, and then raced some 250 Supercrosses in '94 and a little bit in '93, but '94 more so. And did pretty well. I won. I think. Let's see. That was, what year was that? Is that '94? Yeah. So I won my first Supercross in '94. Won my first. Oh no, that was. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Oh man, trying to put it all together. '94 backed up the title, but I did
Hmm.
win race some Supercrosses, but I don't think I had won until '95 in Dallas. So you know, 250 class, premier class, won a couple races there. '95, '96. No, '95. I had the big outdoor crash. Won some outdoor nationals. Was
Yeah.
kind of in the points chase for that, and ended up having that big get off at Henry Hill at Budds Creek, and had to return from that. And when I returned, Honda wasn't. I wasn't really happy with the deal that they were offering to come back in '96. So I gave a guy at Yamaha, John Rosensteel, a call just to see what he thought, and ended up talking to Keith McCarty and set up a program with them for '96. And you know, it was kind of a comeback year. It was hard, but I did have a win in Washougal, and that's kind of what gave me the drive to continue racing. And you know, but you know, to come back to continue racing with Yamaha, they had offered the 4-stroke, and I was kind of just coming off a struggle year, and it was a tough decision to make. But I'm glad I did make the decision to race the 4-stroke for Yamaha in '97. Um, you know, we had some success with it. We did have some failures, but the win in Vegas, that was something that was, you know, it was it just really came together the way it did, because I was kind of in the title chase for the Supercross title in 1996. I had won some races, and I was no, sorry, 1997. I had won some races, and I was, leading the points or right around in the, top few there, and I ended up getting landed on in my hand. I broke my hand for that in that race, and so that kind of set me out of the rest of the '97 season. So we were getting ready to ride the four stroke in the outdoor series. So we decided, since I was hurt, back to riding again, let's go to Vegas and race the four stroke there. And it was because just Vegas is a really hard, slippery kind of track, and the four strokes just work so well in that condition. And we were having some issues with the bike, and we ended up staying out to Carlsbad. I think probably Wednesday night, probably 7:30 at night, and we finally got the issue with the carburation that needed to get done, and showed up in Vegas on Thursday, I think, and rode press day. And there was some pluses and minuses to the comments that were said around the pits, whether I was going to qualify for the race. But we knew what we had. Like, the bike was really good, especially in those conditions. And just with the traction on the start, it was easy to get the start, and then the traction around the track, it was just kind of like the perfect storm, because if I hadn't broke my hand in '97 there, I probably would have been in title chase, and I wouldn't have ridden the four stroke at that final round. So just kind of a bittersweetness to that sort of season there. But '98 ended up coming out and winning the title for the outdoor nationals, and didn't do so well in Supercross, but ended up working on the bikes and got them a little bit better. The hard, slippery ones were okay, but the tacky stuff, the bike just didn't have that pop, the acceleration that it sort of needed back then for Supercross. But ended up winning the title, and kind of went out in '99 for just kind of a victory tour, and I won one of the races out at Troy. And I mean, there's a lot to it, but there's kind of retired from racing, but couldn't quite retire. Got into supermoto, snow bike, snowcross, all that stuff. There's a long list. I don't know how deep you want to get into this.
Yeah. Does Buds like every year they replay the Buds crash, and it's do you get sick of that, or do you just sort of how do you feel when they do that?
I probably did for a while, but I think over the last couple of years, it's just been shown so many times that I've kind of gotten okay with it. But for a long time, I didn't like to watch it. I don't like to watch people crashing at all. So I don't really watch it at all if I can. But it's all right. It's memories, I guess, a little bit. But
I think when you are a rider, you don't like to see crashes, but I think the only fans who like it are people who don't ride, who are like, wow, look at this, like it's like a movie sort of thing. Like, when you actually are a rider and you have crashed, you don't like watching crashes. Like, if I need to watch one because I'm going to talk about it or write about it, like, I'll find the footage and watch it. But once I've seen it, I don't need to see it again. Like, I don't. No, yeah.
Right. I know how that feels. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. You never want to see that. Yeah. And in your results, you kept doing the odd race, the odd national at Southwick though, right up until '06. So that was just like was that just like, I'll get a little bit of a fix this year and just do the Wick?
Yeah, I enjoyed riding. Like, even when I retired from racing, I still really enjoyed riding. I did other types of racing, GNCC. I did one of those, and I mean, I cross training for supermoto. So staying on a dirt bike was something, and just riding with my friends, and it was good. So the once a year thing was just kind of like, I knew how to ride Southwick, and I knew I would do well.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad you mentioned the GNCC, because that's something I would definitely want to talk about. I rave about your GNCC win, man. Like people, I think it may be just a lot of moto fans just didn't watch much GNCC, but I love it, and it's one of the most underrated wins of any motorcycle racing like ever. People don't understand how cool that was, man. Like I love it. It's one of my favorite things ever. Like, you know, Yuha was so dominant, so unbelievably dominant that year and that era while he was here, you know. And you just sort of turned up with a motocross bike and beat him. It was just incredible, man. And I've never ever seen any sort of athlete so spent after an event as you were on that podium, man. That was like you left it. Yeah, they talk about leave it all out there. If any kids want to know how to leave it all out there, have a look at that Doug on the podium after he won a GNCC. Like that was. Tell us about it,
Yeah.
man. Because it's one of my favorite things. I love it.
Yeah, it was brutal. You know, like I've never ridden for that long. Like why?
Yeah,
So, so I didn't know really how to pace myself, like I went through the whole, like kind of started on the first few corners, I ended up crashing. So I never knew really what place I was in. So I was just trying to ride through and pick off as many as I could. And I found out I was in second, I think. And then, the crashes, the get ups, that stuff, that's like happening all the time when you're out there. I don't even know how many times I fell, like it was quite a few. Or you get stuck, and you feel like you're losing so much time. But, I got into second place and I think I passed Yuha. And I kind of like followed him for a little bit and just kind of tried to understand the pace, like, okay,
yeah,
what kind of pace should I be running here? So followed him for a little bit, and there's a couple spots where passing was pretty good, and able to get by. But there was this one section where there was a line of logs, and when I it was close to the pit area, and I went and looked at it, I'm like, who would ever want to roll through this thing? Like that looks like such a pain and so difficult. I don't know, like it looks so easy. You just kind of hit it and double over it, and so I didn't roll through that thing the whole weekend. It was just like the first lap I came around, I doubled it, and I never stopped doing it. It was kind of tricky because the way you landed is kind of slippery and rooty, and there were two trees, so you kind of had to. But I mean, with all the jumping experience I had, it wasn't so bad for me, like so. But anyways, that was like a spot where I could clearly make some good time. But I didn't never use the Camelback, so the first, I didn't drink any of it for like, I don't know, 3 laps or so, and finally I got to it, and it was all warm, and but I the last lap or so, it was like I was cramping up so bad, I had to sit down with my legs straight out, like through all these whoops and stuff, because it was like
yeah.
I couldn't stand up, I couldn't sit down with my feet on the pegs, I had to sit down with my legs straight out, and that was the only way I could kind of get around for a little bit, and then the cramps kind of they go away for a little bit, and you can't be quite as aggressive, but I ended up the last fall on the last lap, like kind of not too far from the end, like that was the toughest to get up, just so tired. I hit a tree, fell off the bike. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how much of a lead I have, like I got it, so I got back up and trying to kickstart it, and I heard somebody coming, and he wasn't too far, behind me. I only beat him by a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, but it was great. It was, one and done. That's me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. That
so
log
yeah, and
section,
then
man.
I was so dehydrated after the race. I had to close my eyes. Like like stuff just continued to move. Like once I got off the bike, and it was just stuff was just in like my vision. I never had that kind of focus for that amount of time. I couldn't get my vision like back. I had to just close my eyes and lay down. And oh man, but that was definitely a test, for me.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I've never seen anybody so spent, especially
Yeah,
especially off a dirt bike. Maybe like a marathon runner or something. That's the only thing I could compare it to, like
yeah.
Olympic marathon runner. Like that's it. Yeah.
To get later into my career, that race across America with the hand cycle,
Yes.
I was probably pretty close there.
Yeah.
You
We'll
know,
talk.
that was
I
tough.
do want to talk about that. So yeah, that log section, you were almost sort of enduro crossing that log section before enduro cross was a thing.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah,
much.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Righto, it's time for an ad read. Guts Racing, Greg's Ultra Trick Seats. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. If you want to be cool like Mookie, like Phil, like Kenny, like Privateer Hero, Scott Meshy, you got to be running a Guts seat. Even if you're an old bloke who's into old vintage bikes like myself, you can get a Guts seat for your vintage bike. My 96 Cowie has a purple Guts seat cover on it. You can get obviously seat covers from Guts. You can get complete seats. You can get seat foams, the ultralight seat foam. You can get custom seats with wide wings. The RJ wide wing seat. We had RJ himself telling us about that a little while ago. You can get seat bumps. The old seat bumps definitely made a comeback. There's a lot more of them out there at the moment. Huge range of colors. If you can think of it, you can probably get it. I've noticed though, we talk about colors. I've noticed the old just the plain black is making a bit of a comeback. There's a lot of that around at the moment, and it looks good. It looks good. Remember when we used to take the black seats off our bikes to put a colored one on, And now, people are sticking with the black seats, and those black gut seats, they look fantastic. You can also get high seat foams, a couple of different sizes of height. If you're a big tall, if you're a big sort of Benny Bloss shaped sort of a guy, you can get a tall seat. You can even get Velcro fitment covers if you don't want to tackle the job with a staple gun. Speaking of fitment, though, it comes with a QR code. When you get your cover, it comes with a QR code. You scan that, and it takes you to a video where you will see how to install that cover, and you'll probably see the man Andy Gregg himself showing you how to install that cover. That is pretty amazing service. That's pretty amazing service. As Privateer Hero Scott Meshy says, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. They get around at Guts Racing, gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Another easy website to remember is specbolt.com. So specbolt.com is all things bolts and fasteners. If you're a listener, you would have caught the show with Robbie Green a little while ago. We were talking about restorations. He is a restoration expert, and he is a spec bolt user. You can get kits for vintage restorations, for the chassis, for the whole bike, for the engine. The detail is amazing, just amazing. You don't just get a box of engine bolts. You'll get a box. You'll get individual packets, water pump housing, cylinder head, ignition cover, all the perfect size, shape, design, labeled. Even down to the detail of the shift lever bolt in a packet of its own. It's amazing, the detail. So get around that. You can also get maintenance kits. So you need a maintenance kit in your truck. You need a maintenance kit in your shop. You never know when you're going to need to replace some bolts. You can also get kits for like ATVs. You can get exhaust springs. You can get, all sorts of different stuff. Check out the website, specbolt.com. That's a really easy website to remember, specbolt.com. Righto, let's get back to the legend, Doug Henry, and see what else he's got to say. Hey, let's get into talking about Race Across America then. So you might know, or I think I might have mentioned to you that I had Mickey on the show quite a while ago now, and he spoke a lot about the Race Across America, and he did his book about it and that sort of thing, and that's just amazing, man. So do you want to just tell us about your experience with that?
Well, I got a phone call from David Bailey. He said, you know, I was thinking about doing this race, you know, that I wanted to do for a long time. It's a race across America. You know, me, you know, Mickey's done it, and Mickey wants to do it, and you know, I just thought maybe you know, have you on the hand cycle, me on a hand cycle, Mickey, and you know, and then Wardy popped into, you know, he got into it, and so you know, it was for me. It was like I used it for kind of cross training, a little bit of hand cycling, and you know, didn't really know too much. I didn't know anything about this Race Across America thing, so I didn't really know much about it, and you know, realized it was a big deal, and I better start training for this thing. You know, I don't want to leave these guys, my idols, high and dry here. You know, these are the guys I looked up to racing as a kid, and yeah, so I set up a hand cycle in my little outdoor kind of area, and I tried to ride on it for 8 hours a day. And I did that for a little while, and they said, hold on, no, that's, you know, that's not how you want to train for this. You got to kind of build up to something like that. So I kind of backed off of that, and you know, got some tips from those guys on how to sort of train for something like this. And you know, I was just excited going in. You know, finding out that the bicycles were going to be, you know, two custom hand built carbon fiber bicycles from AAR Racing, which is the Dan Gurney's race shop. You know, I was, you know, super excited, and you know, so you know, I was all in. I was just hoping that my body was going to make it. I didn't want to let the team down. I didn't, you know, I wanted to, you know, keep the team up, and you know, it was great. We had a bunch of volunteers come out. Road to Recovery helped out a huge amount, and you know, the volunteers. You know, I think we had 8 people on the crew. There was quite a few, and it was tough trying, you know, to organize this whole thing across the country. You know, like the communication was tough. The maps that we had to follow were a little bit tricky. Eating, you know, at the right time. You know, taking the rests and the right minerals and all. I don't know. It was a big learning experience. I'd say about 3/4 of the way across the country, kind of started to kind of get a good handle on things and how we were doing stuff. And but it was brutal. I mean, it was so much fun, you know, taking off and kind of riding through the desert in California, and then we hit the hottest weather of the year through Utah, and or I think it was Arizona. I think it was Arizona, and you know, it was cold nights. We had hail and pouring rain. You know, it was, you know, learning the bike, trying to fix the bike, like little issues with the bike. The bike kind of just got built 3 days before we left, so it was a big learning experience with the bicycles on how to work them, and you know, getting them just kind of set up just right. But yeah, I mean, there was so much to it. I mean, Mickey wrote a whole book about it, but you know, all the ins and outs, the transitions. You know, David and I being in the wheelchair, getting in and out of the vans and in and out of the motor homes. So you know, we ended up settling in where Mickey Diamond and David Bailey were a team, and Jeff Ford and I were a team. So we kind of would alternate vehicles as to who was going to be, you know, swapping off with one another at which times. And we worked out. It was really, really fun. You know, we got to see each other a lot, you know, in between the transitions and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it was something that I was so glad I did, but another one and done thing. I'm pretty sure, you know, like it was brutal. It was tough. And I wanted to just get off that bicycle at the end so bad.
Yeah, you did. How long till you rode again after that? Like, how long?
It was probably, you know, it was so, you know, like it made me want to keep doing one ride a week. So I probably waited a couple weeks and then just started doing one long ride a week. Like that's kind of what my thing was ever since Race Across America, was try to do one long ride a week. And I've been keeping up with it pretty good. I was off for a little while these last few weeks, but looking forward to getting back into it again. But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. From California to Maryland. I think it was seven days, 19 hours and 58 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it was
The
good stuff.
amazing sense of achievement at the end, though, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I do some little cycling adventures myself, and it's like they're big to some people, but they're very little on the scale of what you guys did. So, but it's the sense of achievement at the end is amazing, So just even what like I just do like 200-mile things, and I take everything with me, to camp on the way and that, and usually do that for like a charity or something. And the sense of achievement is at the end is kind of what you do it for, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 It was great. It was great.
yeah. How long were the stints you were doing each day? Like, would you do like 6 hours each or something like that, or did it
It
vary
was
a lot?
it was yeah, it was between what it would be is, like I said, we split up into two teams. So we started out 8 hours, like Wardy and I would do 8 hours, and then David and Mickey would do the other 8 hours. And so we shrunk that down to like 4 or 5 hours. So Jeff and I would go out, and we'd only go kind of depending on the terrain, but mostly it would be about uh, 5 miles or so, 3 to 5 miles, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the terrain. Like if it was steep climb, or a little bit flatter, or downhills, we would kind of do a little bit more mileage. Uphills maybe a little bit less. But yeah, I guess it kind of all depends on varies, but pretty short. Usually about 15 to 20 minutes each session.
Yeah. So you're sort of in and out a lot. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. I thought you're probably doing longer stints there, but yeah, in and out a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
just
yeah,
just probably 15 to 30-minute stints, and then you get the same kind of rest.
yeah. You don't have gears on the hand cycles, do you?
Oh
They're
yeah.
just like you do have
Oh yeah.
gears?
Yeah, Shimano hooked us up with the electric shifting too. So yeah, it worked
Okay,
awesome. No issues at all the way across. I don't even think we charged the battery going all the way
okay.
across. Yeah, it was
Nice,
awesome.
nice. Yeah. Now, because I remember one of the guys, and I'm not sure if it was when I was talking to Mickey, or I've also listened to Wardy spoke about it on Ping's podcast on Whiskey Throttle, and I think one of them was saying that you guys sometimes would struggle with the climbs, so they would do more climbs, and so then I was
Yeah,
wondering, like, is that because you didn't have gears, or? But I guess arms just aren't as strong as legs. Is that why the climbs? Yeah,
absolutely.
just simple as
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. And that's
yeah,
that's how it was, like more towards later on, in the race, just because you know for them to go down a hill was like, they still had to be like a little bit uncomfortable. For us, going down a hill was pretty easy. We're very comfortable laying down on the bike. So
yeah,
yeah, there were a few stints where they would pull the uphills, and I would just do David or I would just do the downhills or the flats.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Now makes sense. Yeah, and it's not even just the leg strength of uphills, because you're using your whole body weight on the pedals. So it's like
Right, right.
way stronger, isn't it, than your arm
Yeah.
strength? Yeah. That makes sense to me now. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. It's a it's an amazing thing, but yeah, like you said, one and done. Yeah, I know. After I do my things, sort of once a year, I'll do one of those big rides. And I feel bad to even say small rides, because when I'm talking to you, it's a small ride. When I'm talking to someone that doesn't ride, it's a big ride. My 200-mile stuff. But the I probably won't jump on for like a month after that. I'll be like, I don't even want to look at that thing for a while. I'll
Yeah,
moto,
yeah.
but I won't jump on the push bike for probably a month after I've done that. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And I remember I think I might have sent Mickey a photo there when I was training for my one this year, and I was like, "This is big to me, but it's just like this is a pussy effort compared to what you guys did." You know, this is nothing. But different. I sort of I like to do. Yeah, I do it just like totally on my own. So I'm just sort of I sort of probably cycling for like 10 hours a day. You know, sort of thing.
Wow.
And that sort of thing. But obviously heaps slower than you guys would have been going and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I like the challenge of it. So
Yeah,
keeps
yeah,
me it's a good motivation. And yeah,
yeah.
I've raised a bit of money for cancer research and mental health
Oh,
research, mental health
nice.
places and just things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all right.
We got some smoke over here.
Yeah. Oh dear, yeah.
We got some fires blowing around, but
You got some over
uh,
there as well. I know that they've
yeah,
got problems with that in California at the moment. Yeah.
California. Yeah, yeah,
You got some going as well, yeah. I
yeah. Up north.
mm, yeah,
You guys deal with that too, right?
we do, man. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we had not the most recent really big fires we had, but the ones before that I was real close to the action there. So I still get I don't live in that area anymore, but every summer after that, when I still lived in that area, a hot windy day, I would be just anxious, man. Just like yeah, I was just so anxious because it was such a
Yeah.
and we got it. We didn't lose anything at all, but we were basically for like a week. It was just all that saved us was wind direction. Basically, we
Wow.
were we were screwed with that wind direction. So I sent my family away, but I stayed to because you can still you can save your house from ember, from ember attack.
Yep. Yep.
But I was sleeping in my boots with my car keys in my pocket. The car was
Wow.
backed in the driveway, ready to go, and I had three different roads I could get away with. So I had it all
Wow.
planned, and barely sleeping. You know, it was pretty
That's
crazy
sketchy.
time. So yeah, and I know you've experienced a house fire too. Or a house fire that wasn't from a bushfire though, was it? That was just from something else.
Yeah, that was just an accident. We're not really
Mm.
sure. I did have like one of those outdoor wood furnaces, so pretty sure it's that was part of it. That was the start of it. And yeah, I was away. I was in California, and yeah, kind of. So I didn't really. I just had to experience the aftermath, but unfortunately, the kids saw it from their school, and yeah, it wasn't so good. But yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
memories. It's like you kind of gotta. Gosh, it just happens. Just got to
Mm.
pick yourself up and get going again.
Yeah, yeah, it's a rough thing. I know. Yeah, one of my best mates, he had that. He had it happen right before his 40th birthday party, and we were all traveling down to see him for his 40th birthday party, and like a couple of days before his house burnt down. So that was rough, and
Wow.
we had all these plans to make fun of him as good mates do. We've got all these practical jokes and that for his party, and it was like, no, let's not do any of that. Let's just leave him alone. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but he bounced back. Got a beautiful house now and that sort of thing. So yeah, as I'm sure you do too, Doug. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's it. Yeah, dude. How many kids have you got?
I have two. My daughter is 27 and she lives in Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
and she works from home and she loves her doggy and her kitty, and she's been steady with a police officer in that area, right near her house. And my son is in Florida and he's an entertainer. He does some circus acts and does a lot of
oh yeah, cool. Yeah,
performances down there and around the country, but mostly in Florida. But he does travel at times, depending on where the contracts are. So they're a little bit scattered about, but when I get to see him, it's always a awesome time. But you never get to see
yeah,
him
yeah.
enough. But 27, my son's 25.
Yeah, yeah. So no,
Actually,
no grandkids yet.
no, nope, not yet.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now
Yeah,
I've got a
my
17-year-old
son
and
is
a
in teams.
21-year-old. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I've got a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old. So yeah, there you go.
Oh,
It,
nice.
we look forward to grandkids, but yeah, not for a while. They're too young yet. So they're
Yeah.
too young yet. So yeah, that's it. Doug, what sort of music are you into? I always ask people about their music taste.
Um, I would say, I kind of mostly an '80s metal kind of guy.
Nice.
Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. I don't know. Black Sabbath's a little bit older, but I really like a lot of that stuff. But um, let's see. A little bit of alternative, I guess. Not so much. A little bit of country, but not so much. Just a few things here and there. Um, classic rock, but yeah, not a
Cool.
whole lot.
Cool. Do you have like a favorite album or anything like that?
um, I'd say Iron Maiden's probably my favorite band, and I mean it's tough to say the favorite album. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that.
Bruce is an amazing guy, isn't he, man? Like he's an
That
amazing guy.
talk about energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dude, like he's like a pilot. He's an airline pilot and the lead singer of Maiden, and
yeah,
he's like a genius guy as well, like a super
yeah,
intellectual and it's like
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he hosts. I remember at one stage he was also he was a DJ. He was hosting radio shows as well, and like yeah,
Wow.
just a yeah, amazing guy. Yeah, it's a cool thing. He's not the for the lead singer of one of one of the biggest bands of all time. He's just not the stereotype, is he? As far as on stage he is, but as far as off stage, it's like imagine being on a flight and your pilot's Bruce Dickinson. Like it's
Yeah,
so cool, man. So cool.
yeah, for sure.
It's amazing, man. So a question
Yeah.
I'd like to ask is if you could like time travel back to see a concert, what would you go to? Would that be a Maiden concert or would that be like a
Yeah, I
festival
think Maiden and Judas Priest actually played somewhere at the same time,
at
and
the
I would
same
like to go
time?
see that. Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. No, that would be that would be a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen those bands live?
Yes, I have seen them both. Yeah, different times.
Whereabouts?
New Jersey. I'm trying to think. I think Judas Priest was just another tour, different tour. But yeah, like they do them in football stadiums here,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
the
So
big ones. Yeah.
so you would have seen them at like Giant Stadium or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Cool,
some
cool.
smaller clubs too that I've gone to see some other bands, but Corn, I mean, it was nice before I saw them in a really small club one time. It was great. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I didn't
That's
go to
it.
a
Yeah,
lot of concerts. I went to,
yeah, man. Yeah, you too.
probably probably 10, at all, probably in my lifetime.
Do you still go to concerts, man, or is that just like is it just too hard, or do you have to really love the artist?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's too hard. Maybe too loud. I'm too old.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not just too hard to get yourself in and out. It's just more too old now. Because I get what you mean there, man. It's like because we have to go to Melbourne for concerts, which is it's only like 3 hours away. We go to usually Marvel Stadium is where the big concerts are, where the Melbourne Supercross is,
Okay.
and
Yep. Yep.
and but yeah, I don't like. I'm a country boy. I don't like the city, and it's like yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go there for a supercross. I'll go there for a concert if I really, really like them. But sometimes I'll won't even, but sometimes I'll regret it. Like Guns N' Roses played there, and I didn't go, and and I regret it, and that sort of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to make myself go.
Yeah. I might. If I saw somebody that I really would like to see, then I may go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool, cool. Do you follow other sports, Doug? Like, do you follow football or basketball or anything like that?
Not so much. I watch football a little bit, but I wouldn't say I follow it. I could watch, and it's a lot of, I kind of watch hockey. I don't follow it a lot, but I love to watch it. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of NASCAR, a little bit of Indy, Moto GP. Uh, yeah, I mean, a little bit of the 24-hour stuff, Lime Rock, Road America stuff. Not so much, it's kind of hit or miss. Usually if it's on live, I'll catch it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
have regular in TV. I don't have cable or anything. I have it connected to the internet, but I just get what's over the airwaves.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cool, cool. That's it. Hey, what do you? What do you do? What's your favorite thing to do to relax? So when you're not on the mountain bike or the hand cycle or the Stark or
This right here, what I'm doing right here, sitting on the
sitting with
couch
the
with my dog. Sometimes I lay in that hammock over there.
yeah
Yeah, I mean to relax. Yeah, I mean I just kind of sit out. Well, I don't know. Usually I'm working out. Well, I do a lot of my phone, my emails and stuff sitting out here, but when I can. But relax. I mean, I guess I I mean, I like relax and I'll stretch in front of the TV at like 7 o'clock. I'll watch The Big Bang Theory and just stretch out and get out of my chair and get on the floor and do my stretching. I don't know.
That's it.
That's about it.
You can't beat sitting outside with your dogs like you're doing right now. That's like
Yeah, yeah,
I live life to a pretty
yeah.
fast pace, man, and I usually I'll set aside a time usually on a weekend morning, man, where I will I'll say like this is like my 3 4 hours where I'm not doing shit, and
Nice.
I'll make a coffee or two, and I'll just sit outside, and the dog will come out and she'll sit with me, and just there's just not much going on for a few hours, so it's sort of
Nice.
a recharge time, man. Yeah, it's and
Yeah,
I don't need long. I don't need long because I'm a pretty flat out sort of person, but
yeah.
it's something really enjoyable. And what are the dogs' names, man?
This Willow. They're both rescues. Willow's the female, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, this is my son's dog, and when he left to Florida, he said, "Dad, I'll be gone for 2 weeks," and that was probably 4 years ago. He's still down there performing. Like kind of like when I went racing. It's like you go out and all of a sudden you start making money. You don't come home anymore because you're out racing nationals making money. So same sort of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when my daughter went to college, I got her dog, and he died. So I ended up replacing him with her,
yeah,
Willow. So yeah, just a couple of rescue mutts, but they're the best.
yeah, yeah, man. We always do get rescue dogs. Yeah, they
Yeah,
yeah. That's the way to go. Sometimes it's hard to find one that's sort of suitable, with your because we got lots of other animals as well. So sometimes a lot of rescue dogs, they say, don't put them with any other animals. They need to be on their own and that sort of thing. So it can be hard
yeah.
sometimes, but yeah, that's the go, dude. Just a couple of fun questions towards the end of the show, Doug. I like to ask people like what was the poster on your teenage bedroom wall, man? Like who was the teenage crush? Like, for me it was Kelly Bundy from Married with Children. What about yourself?
A 1984 YZ490.
Oh, right, yeah, that's it. That's it.
I
1984
had
was
dirt
it for
I
not?
had dirt bikes on my wall. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think I had girl posters on the wall, but I mean, back then I would say it was probably Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah,
Was probably around, for us, Charlie's Angels.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but
I had
I had dirt bikes on my wall.
yeah, yeah. Now, like I say that, but yeah, I had dirt bikes on the wall too. I would say, I would have been too embarrassed about what Mum would say if I had to put a Kelly Bundy poster on the wall. But she's the one that she's the one that would have been on the wall if
Got it.
I
Got it.
definitely like watching her on that show. So yeah, that's it. I think Farrah Fawcett. I think that was the same answer as one of the. I think that might have been Jim Holly's answer as well. I think Uncle Jim
Oh,
might have said Farrah Fawcett as well. Yeah, someone
oh,
did anyway. Yeah, someone did. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a pretty definitely a pretty common answer from the 1980s era, you know. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, cool. What other sort of do you have any sort of other bucket list stuff, Doug? Like, you know, big adventure sort of stuff, or even small stuff, things you'd like to visit overseas, or anything like that? Any bucket list stuff?
Well, I kind of want to. I want to get this thing started with making the motocross tracks here more accessible, like the national tracks. I want to try to, make platforms and just make it a little bit easier for people with in chairs or with disabilities to kind of get around motocross tracks. So that's kind of like a little bit of something that I'm trying to do now, sort of on a bucket list. And as far as going any, like I don't, I mean, I think it's people ask, where would you like to go? Where would you like to go? What would you like to do? It's like I would love to see the pyramids. Like it'd be cool to get over there to see those. I'd say that would be on my bucket list. Um, and to get into a fighter jet, I think that would be pretty badass to sit in one of those. Like I just hear that that's pretty awesome. So it's not, it's something I would love to do, but I don't have any plans to do it just yet. um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's these balloons that take off on the other side of the hill, and it's like I kind of want to try one, but I do see that they do have some crashes with those things, so I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, I went skydiving. That was a blast with my daughter, after my accident. So it was great that they took me up there and allowed me to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying about the accessibility to tracks. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think. I can't think. There's a track here that has a like a raised platform at the fence line in a perfect like prime spot to watch the starts with a ramp
Nice.
and everything. I can't think which track it is. One of the
Yeah.
tracks here in Victoria. Yeah. Yeah, there's a ramp and a rail and that sort of thing. You go, it's like prime spot. Like if you're going to pick a spot to watch the start, it's there, and it's wide enough for I think they built it because one of the guys from the track needed it. But yeah, there's room for several chairs in there and that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot of that sort of stuff. Yeah, because there's some pretty rough terrain getting in and out of outdoor tracks, man, isn't there? Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
car parks, the car parks are just a bumpy field with
Yeah. Yep.
ruts. There's ruts in the car park, man. Like yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying there. Yeah, that's interesting. Things you don't think about when you don't have someone directly in your life who's in a chair.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
I actually have a cousin who's in one, but it's a huge family, so I don't know him very well. That was from a
Yeah.
street bike incident years ago. But yeah, I've got like I don't know 50, 60 cousins, so it's like yeah, I don't know him well, but yeah, that other than that, yeah, the I've done some I do I've got a little construction business, and I've done some work for widening doorways and building ramps and that for people. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's not something that I think about when I go to an event, unless I see someone, and then you think, get out of their way, try and help, that sort of thing. If you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
but then there's sometimes too you think, well, it can be hard. Like it'd be interesting your perspective on this, man. Like sometimes I think like, oh, I get out of the way too much, and I'm like being, like, is that like annoying when people jump out of the way like too much and like treat you, like almost too well, or I don't know. Or is that sometimes I think
You
of
know,
that as like, am I being a dick because I like got right out of this guy? Like I gave him 6 foot of room instead of just giving him 3 foot. Like I don't know.
right.
I try and be a nice guy, but yeah. Anyway, that's
Yeah, I think it's like in different stages, you know, like I think you're doing the right thing. You're trying to help, you know, and that's it. It comes from the heart. You're trying to
yeah.
help. That's good. Sometimes we may perceive it wrong in the way we look at things, you know, like if we're having a bad day, we say, what is this guy afraid of me? Or if we're having a good day, it's like, wow, thank you for giving me this extra room, you know. So it's as long as you know from your perspective, you know, just you know, as long as it's from the heart, it's good, you know, and I think, you know, for us, you know, like I have a lot of jokes about it now, so I've you know yeah, it's good, you know. Somebody asked me if I, you know, whenever I'm loading my wheelchair in my van, you know, I kind of pull it in an awkward way behind me, and people say, hey, you need a hand? I say, no, I could use a couple legs though. And so
Yeah, yeah.
that's yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. I mean, but you know, people that open the door for me, I'm like, what are you doing the rest of the day? You know, like because I'd love to have somebody do that for me the rest of the day wherever I go. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Which is good,
But
man. Yeah,
yeah, you
it
know,
shows
but it is a
the
lot.
stage you're in,
I
I
feel
guess.
like
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot where you are in your injury. You know, like going through your path. You know, like sometimes things will affect you one way, and sometimes they'll affect you another way. So, you know.
Yeah, cool, cool. You actually just give me a thought. Once we're off air, just stick around for a couple of minutes. I've got a small favor to ask. Yeah.
All
Once
right.
we're off air, I don't want to talk about it on here. The yeah, cool, man. I reckon I've taken enough of your time. Um, there's just a couple of things I do towards the end of the show. The first one is I always ask the US guests to give me your best Aussie accent.
Oh my, I can't even do it. Oh, bloody wanker. I don't know if that's English or Aussie.
No, that was that we both say that, but yeah, no, that wasn't too bad. Bloody wanker. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Uh,
Nice one, man. Nice one.
all right.
That's good, good. And then the last thing I do is the outro to the show is me sing. I sing a little bit of Kenny Rogers for the outro music, which is it's pretty weird and there's a bit of a backstory and it's just a bit of fun and it's not too serious. So I'll do that to keep the tradition up. And I always say to people, if you know Kenny Rogers the gambler, you're more than welcome to join in.
All right.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet. And his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to
Know
hold 'em,
when to hold 'em.
know when
Know
to
when
fold
to
'em,
fold.
know when to
Know
walk
when to
away,
walk away.
know
Know
when to
when
run.
to run.
You never count your
Count
money
your money. Just
when you're sitting at the
sitting at
table.
the table.
There'll be time enough for counting.
When the dealing's done.
Doug Henry, fantastic. I love it when people join in.
All right.
That's great, man. Like I said, if you can stick with me just after we go off air just for a sec. But thank you very much for your time today. This has been fantastic to talk to you. Cheers,
All
man.
right. Nice to talk to you as well.
Cheers, man.